The sky above the research dome shimmered with the pale blue curtain of the Kirellan atmosphere, refracting the twin suns into a hazy, golden glow. The volcanic moon of Relics 3 was quiet for now, its molten heart sleeping. Its surface cracked with cooling rivers of obsidian, but it wouldn't stay that way for long. Professor Tacker floated into the observation chamber, his elongated form gliding with the grace of a creature not bound by gravity. He wore a thin robe embroidered with the sigils of Kirellan academia, and in one of his many hands he held a datapad displaying geothermal readings. He stopped just behind the human in the room. "Logan Ridge," he said with deliberate pronunciation, tapping the datapad. "I have devised a challenge for you." Logan was hunched over a bench, adjusting the oxygen calibration on his portable exosuit. His hands were stained with grease, and his brow was damp from the dome's humidity. He glanced up. "You want something repaired again?" Tacker's voice buzzed slightly in amusement. "No, you are always repairing. I want to see if you can survive." Logan stood up slowly. "What? I propose a test," Tacker said, raising his chin. "Since your species claims such remarkable adaptability, I invite you to prove it. You will enter the caldera of Mount Vesh in 40 hours, alone, and survive." Logan blinked. "That volcano's active, correct?" "You mean magma, pressure, superheated gases, sudden pyroclastic flows active," Tacker nodded. "Indeed, we simulate extreme environments to test resilience. But none have succeeded in entering Vesh unaided. No Kirellan would attempt it. Too risky." Logan rubbed his temples. "And you think a human can? I wager you might. You are known for improvisation. I am curious to see how far it extends. Why would I agree to this?" Tacker stepped closer, tapping the datapad again. "Because if you succeed, I'll grant your request to access the restricted Kirellan archives, the ones with the propulsion data you've been requesting." Logan's jaw tightened. He'd been chasing permission for months. The propulsion specs could change Earth's spaceflight capabilities by 50 years, maybe more. He looked back at the modeling screen. The caldera was a churning pit of hellfire, its surface temperatures well above 1,000 degrees Celsius. The air there could kill in seconds. He exhaled. "Fine. But I'll need materials, a workshop, and absolute privacy. You have 36 of your hours. I need 48. 36, Logan shook his head. "Then I start now." Tacker leaned back, antennae twitching in amusement. "Agreed." He floated out of the chamber, leaving Logan staring at the fiery chasm on the screen. The human didn't waste time. He left the observation dome and jogged to Base 6, where his tools and spare materials were stored. His mind was already scrambling through every piece of knowledge he had: thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, aerospace composites, radiation shielding. A voice called out behind him. "Logan, what the hell's going on?" He turned. Valen Hargrove, the mission's biochemist, was approaching, brushing dust from her lab coat. Her dark red hair was tied into a tight knot, and her eyes were sharp. "Tacker dared me to walk into a volcano," Logan said, unlocking the bay door. Valen frowned. "You're kidding." "Nope. 36 hours from now, I'm hiking into Vesh. That's suicide. Not if I build something that can take the heat. You can't just throw together a heat shield in a day and a half. I don't have a choice." He stepped inside and started pulling open crates. "I need the high-temp ceramics, the graphene weave, and whatever cryo gel you can spare from your lab." Valen didn't move. "You're actually serious? Help me or don't. But if I pull this off, we get access to that archive. You know what that means for Earth." She hesitated, then stepped inside. "I'll get the gel. But if you die in there, I'm not explaining it to your mother." Logan worked until his fingers blistered. He took only short breaks to hydrate and study the volcano's latest readings. Tacker had provided him with a cross-section of the caldera, its pressure pockets, gas vents, and the predicted flow of molten rock. It was like trying to walk through the engine of a jet while it was running. By hour 12, Logan had his base frame. He repurposed a maintenance exosuit, reinforcing it with hexagonal carbon lattice plates scavenged from a damaged drone hull. He layered those with aerogel panels, then added a flexible inner mesh designed to circulate cryogel through microtubes to offset radiant heat. Valen returned with 2 canisters of the biogel and a cooling rig from her lab. She raised an eyebrow at the cobbled-together contraption. "This looks like something a raccoon built with a death wish," Logan grinned. "That's the spirit. You'll need insulation on the boots. The ground temp alone will fry your feet in seconds. Already working on it." He wrapped the soles with tiles from a scrapped shuttle hull, layering reflective foil between each segment. The boots were heavy, but they'd hold. By hour 21, he started testing. He built a small furnace using a plasma torch and exposed the suit's arm to over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The outer panels blackened but held. The gel inside boiled slightly, but didn't breach. He reinforced the joints with ball-bearing rings to allow movement without cracking the ceramic. It was crude, ugly, but it might work. At hour 32, exhaustion hit. Logan collapsed on the floor, suit half-assembled, eyes bloodshot. Valen crouched beside him. "You need sleep." "I can't waste time. If you go in there half-awake, you'll misstep and fall into a lava pocket." Logan stared at the ceiling. "Okay, 1 hour." He passed out on the cold workshop floor. When he woke, it was hour 33. He strapped into the suit with Valen's help and ran a full systems check. The gel pump worked. The temperature sensors were online. Oxygen was stable. Tacker arrived at the Volcano's perimeter just as the shuttle landed. Several Kirellans had gathered, whispering among themselves. No one had attempted the Vesh descent in centuries. Logan stepped out in the bulky, mismatched suit. The outer shell hissed as the cryo-gel engaged. Tacker floated beside him. "You may turn back now, no shame in it." Logan looked down at the smoldering caldera. The path was narrow, winding between gas vents and glowing rock. At the center, a platform of cooled basalt marked the challenge point. "I'll be back in an hour." "Unlikely," Tacker replied. The first 10 meters were brutal. The heat slammed into the suit like a hammer, and the internal fans whined as they struggled to keep the temperature below lethal. Logan's breath came in slow bursts, each one timed with the suit's oxygen cycle. He moved carefully, the heavy boots clanking against blackened stone. Geysers of gas hissed nearby, and the sound of bubbling magma echoed from below. Sweat pooled in his collar despite the cooling gel. 15 minutes in, the first alarm went off. Temperature spike in the left arm. He checked the panel. One of the ceramic tiles had cracked. He crouched behind a boulder and sprayed sealant over the crack. It hissed, hardened, and held. He pushed forward. At the halfway mark, he slipped. One foot skidded on loose gravel and his knee slammed into the rock. Pain flared. He gritted his teeth and kept moving. By the time he reached the basalt platform, the suit's gel reserves were down to 20%. He tapped his helmet mic. Logan to Tacker, "I'm here." There was silence, then static. "You are alive, disappointed?" "No, surprised. I'm heading back." The return was worse. The descent had been adrenaline-fueled focus. The climb was agony. The fans struggled. His left arm grew sluggish. Another chip in the ceramic. He wrapped it with heat tape and pressed on. His vision swam near the top. The suit's temperature climbed above safe levels. His skin burned where the inner lining failed. He could feel the heat in his teeth. Then hands grabbed him. Kirellan assistants pulled him back over the rim, dragging him to a cooling tent. Valen appeared, pushing past the others. "Get the suit off him." They cut the outer shell and steam poured out. Logan's skin was flushed red, blisters forming on his arms. He winced as the oxygen mask was pulled off. Tacker leaned in. "You returned." Logan's voice was hoarse. "Told you I would." "You are remarkable." Valen glared at him. "He's cooked half his muscles." "Not half," Logan muttered. "You'll be in recovery for weeks," she snapped. Tacker's antennae twitched. "The archives will be open to you. You earned it." Logan gave a weak smile. "Next time, dare me to do something less flammable." He passed out before anyone could respond. The recovery chamber was dim, lit only by a ring of low-spectrum UV panels embedded in the ceiling, humming faintly like a hive of sleeping insects. The air smelled faintly of sterilized mineral compounds and the metallic tang of plasma welded seams. Logan lay strapped to a cushioned med frame, an array of thin translucent tubes feeding chilled saline into his arm. His skin was raw across his torso and arms, a patchwork of pink and deep maroon where the suit had failed to keep the superheated gases at bay. A gelatinous cooling membrane clung to his chest, pulsing slightly with each heartbeat. Every breath felt like inhaling through a wet towel, but it was better than the first 12 hours. You're not dead. So I guess you're welcome, Valen said from the other side of the room, crouched over a medical console. She was calibrating one of the dermal regenerators with a stylus, her motions short and irritated. I can't feel my ears, Logan croaked. You don't need them to walk, she said. And you're not walking for at least a week. I need to get to the archive before Tacker starts reinterpreting his promise. Valen stood, approached the bed, and peeled back the membrane at his shoulder to inspect the damaged tissue. He already delivered the access code. It's logged under your clearance. You're not going anywhere near a console until you stop smelling like overcooked meat. Logan winced as she reapplied the membrane. That's comforting. You're lucky you didn't inhale superheated sulfur. Your throat lining's already sloughed once. If you'd breathed raw air in there, your lungs would have liquefied. I wore the damn helmet. You also patched a cracked tile with sealant meant for plumbing, Valen muttered, reaching for a dermal injector. Hold still. He tensed as a cool sensation spread through his side. How long was I out? 32 hours. You woke up twice, tried to argue with the Roman 4 pole. Did I win? You accused it of being a spy. She tilted his head gently and applied another layer of salve behind his ear. Then passed out again. Footsteps approached, a soft slapping sound that didn't match the booted pattern of human movement. Professor Tacker entered, several of his eyes blinking in tandem. He carried no datapad this time, just a small crystalline container filled with a swirling, silvery mist. You survived the caldera, and now you are alive again. Remarkable, he said, placing the container on a nearby tray. Barely alive, Valen muttered. Tacker tilted his upper head toward her. That was the intent, the threshold between survivable and fatal. It is not a test if the outcome is guaranteed. Logan coughed, then rasped. Is that a trophy? This is a memory haze recording of your descent. The environmental cameras failed to track you for the lower half. I retrieved this from the air currents. It shows you patching your suit with adhesive and crawling across a fissure. Valen's brows rose. You crawled? Boots got stuck in a vent crack. Logan exhaled slowly. Did a belly slide across the basalt, felt like grilling ribs from the inside. Tacker tilted the container. Several Kirellan scholars have requested copies of this. They are revising their models for human behavioral thresholds. I'm thrilled to be a data point. Valen sat down beside the med frame, folding her arms. If they're so interested, maybe next time they send one of their own down there. They would perish. Our species lacks the necessary recklessness. Logan gave a weak laugh. We call it grit. No, grit is what accumulates in mechanical joints. What you displayed was something else. Desperation, perhaps. Valen leaned back. He wanted the archive, that's all. Tacker didn't respond immediately. He turned one of his eyes toward Logan, studying him closely. You did not ask for payment, only access. You did not request compensation or rank or favor. Only knowledge. It's worth more than those other things. Why? Logan shifted slightly, wincing. Because Earth's not caught up. We're still burning things to go places. You've got propulsion that doesn't even make noise. I want to learn how you did that. And then I want to improve it. You would share it, of course. I didn't crawl through a volcano just to keep it to myself. Tacker nodded slowly. Then I will assign an archivist to assist you, but you will remain under observation. Valen looked up. Observation. Your body endured stress far outside expected limits. We must understand how. It may benefit your kind. Great, Logan muttered. I become a walking exhibit. You entered a structure we consider an execution site and emerged. That changes how your species is viewed. A soft chime echoed from Valen's console. She rose quickly, scanned the readout, and frowned. What is it? Logan asked. Your muscle degradation isn't matching expected patterns. It's slower. The proteins are repairing faster than they should. Tacker leaned forward. Is this dangerous? Valen pressed her lips together. Not unless he starts growing extra limbs, but it's not normal. Logan blinked. Is this from the suit? I don't know. Maybe the gel. Or the extreme heat triggered something. I'll run more tests. Tacker tapped one of his digits against the tray. We would like to replicate your conditions. Absolutely not, Valen snapped. He almost died. Which is why we must understand how he did not. Logan coughed again and waved a hand weakly. You're not throwing another human down there, Tacker nodded. Agreed, we will use simulation with your data and perhaps a synthetic analog of your biology. Valen turned to Logan. You okay with that? He considered it. If it helps Earth get ahead, fine, but no cloning. I don't need a duplicate walking around trying to out-volcano me. Tacker rose. Then it is settled, you will rest. Miss Hargrove will oversee your recovery. The archive awaits when you are ready. He floated out without another word. Valen exhaled. You're going to be famous. I was hoping to be quietly brilliant, Logan murmured. No chance. I've already had 5 research requests forwarded to me. One of them wants to study your liver. I like my liver where it is. Then try not to melt it next time. She adjusted one of the Roman 4 settings, then dimmed the chamber lights slightly. You really think Earth will catch up with this data? She asked quietly. Logan stared at the ceiling, eyes heavy. Not overnight, but give it 10 years, maybe 20. Someone's got to start the fire. Valen chuckled. You did, literally. He drifted off before he could reply. By the following rotation, his fever had broken. Valen allowed him to sit up, though she refused to let him walk more than 3 steps without a support frame. His skin had begun to peel in long, translucent ribbons, and she collected samples with the clinical detachment of someone cataloging butterfly wings. 2 Kirellan aides arrived to install a console in his recovery chamber, where he could begin interfacing with the restricted archive. One of them, a pale green archivist named Wren, watched Logan curiously as he adjusted the angle of the monitor. You are the combustion crawler, Wren said. Is that what they're calling me? It is better than lava bait, Logan grinned. I'll take it. Wren touched a glyph on the console and the interface flickered to life. The propulsion data is dense. You will need to adjust your notation system. Ours does not use mass-based thrust metrics. I'll figure it out. You will not, but I will help. Logan leaned forward, intrigued. Deal. As Wren began explaining the first layer of translation parameters, Logan's mind kicked back into gear. The pain was still there, his skin still raw, but the fire he'd walked through had lit another kind of flame entirely, and he wasn't about to let it burn out. 3 days after the caldera run, Logan sat on a cushioned incline, legs swaddled in flexible support sleeves, his left hand still wrapped in biogel gauze. The healing was coming along, though slowly. Valen had allowed him to sit upright for longer periods, under strict conditions. He wasn't allowed to lift anything heavier than a mug of broth, or move more than 5 meters without calling for assistance. The archive console had been installed beside his bed, its interface adjusted for human interaction. Wren was back, seated on a low, hovering stool, flipping through layers of propulsion schematics with fingers like polished reeds. These are not diagrams, Logan said, squinting at the shifting symbols. They're metaphors. Correct. Kirellan engineering is taught through conceptual abstraction. Each glyph is a nested model of relational force behavior. You teach engines like poetry. Poetry is more static. Logan scratched at the edge of a healing blister, then thought better of it. How do you test something like this if it's all conceptual? Wren pointed to a small rotating helix in the corner of the screen. Each glyph links to a simulation node. You adjust variables using thought patterns, not numeric input. The system anticipates intent. Logan narrowed his eyes. I've spent years writing code to model thrust ratios. You're telling me this thing reads my intentions. Your general cognitive trajectory, yes. That's alarming. Only if your intentions are poorly formed. Wren paused, then turned slightly. Why did you not tell your government what you were attempting? Logan adjusted his position, a dull ache radiating from his hip. Because they would have told me not to. They do not trust your judgment, they trust it too much, which is worse. I wasn't interested in being stopped by a committee. You chose personal risk over institutional caution. I chose movement over paralysis. Wren tapped a glyph, and a new structure unfolded, a lattice of intersecting spiral fields. Your species favors action despite incomplete understanding. This is both fascinating and dangerous. Sounds about right. Valen entered, carrying a tray of nutrient paste and a sealed flask. She set it down on the side table and gave Logan a long, appraising look. You're still pale, she said, running a scanner over his leg. You've lost 5 kilos, mostly fluid and muscle mass. Can't say I miss it. You should. It kept your kidneys where they belong, Ren stood. I will return after your recalibration period. Logan raised an eyebrow. That's your word for lunch. Your species eats often. It is inefficient. After Ren left, Valen pulled a chair beside him and poured the flask into a cup. Hydration first. Logan took a slow sip. Is it true you turned down the Kirellan Biomedical Fellowship? She didn't answer immediately. Her gaze drifted to the console, where the propulsion lattice still spun. I didn't want to spend 5 years slicing up cadavers while someone else rewrote the future. You could have done both. They didn't want both. They wanted obedience. Logan set the cup down. We're not great at that, are we? She pulled out a tablet and scrolled through his latest blood work. Your inflammatory markers are stabilizing. Liver enzymes are still high, but dropping. Any irreversible damage, you'll need to avoid high-altitude sprints and open flame for a while, but you'll recover. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. Why do you think they really dared me? Tacker. Yeah, Valen tapped the tablet, then set it aside. They wanted to see if something impossible would stop you, not the volcano, the fact that no one else had ever made it. And now, they don't know what to do with you. There was a soft chime at the door. A Kirellan aide entered, holding a small dark box with a seal embossed on its lid. She approached without speaking, set the box on the table, bowed slightly, and left. Logan stared at it. You expecting a gift? Valen folded her arms. It's addressed to you. He opened the seal. Inside was a single curved fragment of blackened ceramic mounted on a crystalline display base. A small inscription had been etched beneath it. He read it aloud. From heat clarity, Valen tilted her head. Is that from your suit? He nodded. Left shoulder, the tile that cracked. A trophy, a reminder. She looked at him. You're not going to stop, are you? I didn't come here to heal, I came to learn. The volcano was step 1. Valen stood, arms crossed. Then let's get something clear. Next time you sprint into death for curiosity, I'm stapling you to a chair. Wouldn't be the first time someone made that threat. She leaned in slightly. I'm not threatening. He grinned, then winced. Okay, noted. The door opened again. This time it was Tacker. He entered without ceremony, carrying a small translucent scroll. He held it out to Logan. You are now listed in the Kirellan Academy's adjunct register. Logan took it, surprised. I'm a professor now, not exactly, but your data and methods will be studied. You may be consulted. Consulted for what? Unorthodox solutions, catastrophic environments, situations that require. Undesirable risk. Valen shook her head. He's still healing. Tacker turned to her. Then we will wait, but his insights are now considered valuable. Logan looked at the scroll, then back at Tacker. This is permanent unless you perish. Comforting. Tacker turned to leave. Before exiting, he paused. You altered our expectations. That is not easily done. When he was gone, Logan rotated the scroll in his hands. I just wanted to fix a transport system. Valen reached for the nutrient tray. Well, now you're an honorary lunatic. Do I get a badge? You got a burned scar shaped like a continent. That's close enough. He took another sip of the flask, then pushed the tray aside. Help me pull up the propulsion layer again. I want to see the nested field collapses. You're not supposed to work until tomorrow. I'm not working, I'm thinking. She sighed, tapped the console, and rotated the display. Don't forget to blink. He leaned forward, eyes scanning the spiraling fields. Blinking is for cowards. Outside the recovery dome, the twin suns were setting across the volcanic ridges, casting long shadows over the blackened crags. The caldera had quieted again, its deep rumble now distant, like a memory fading behind glass. But inside the dome, the air buzzed with the hum of circuitry, the soft clicks of analysis, and the quiet, persistent stirrings of a species slowly, stubbornly catching up.